Hello, welcome to Flower Juice. My name's John McDonald, and today we're going to look at making a simple wedding bouquet that's just using a simple range of flowers. So what we've got is we've got some beautiful little calla lilies. I'm going to use some carnations just to put a little touch of colour in and also a little bit of volume. I've got some nice little white roses, and we've got some gypsophila as a collar. So what I need to do first is just prepare all the materials. So the callas didn't need any real work, I just needed to check them over. The carnations, you've got little bits of greenery down, so we've just stripped that off to make them nice and clean. For the roses, I've cleaned them up as well, and what you can do is just take them off with your hands, but what I'm going to do is with a knife just run down and take the tops of the thorns off. So just be careful when you're doing that, because it's very easy with a knife just to go right through the flower. So really what I'm doing is I'm holding it at an angle, so I just take the top of the thorn off and not cut the rose in half. And this is also an opportunity just to check that your petals on your roses are good, because sometimes some of these outer ones are not really true petals, they're more of a cover petal. And it's, you know, people read it the wrong way, they think it's a problem, and actually it's not. With the gypsophila, we're just going to go through it and cut it down into little units, so into ones where we can bring it together and make a little bit of a cluster, basically. So it's easier just to get yourself all prepared in advance, and that gives you plenty space on your workstation, and then you're ready to begin. So really, our main flower is going to be the strongest rose with the biggest head, and then we can just start to work our other flowers in. So as I say, with the carnation, I really want it to be slightly secondary, so it doesn't have to be a dominant thing in this bouquet, but it's just going to create a little bit of space for our other flowers. So I'm just working this in my hand and spiraling the stems to create our bouquet. So I'm just beginning to lose that rose a little bit off from the center, so we can come in on this side a bit more. And it's just a case of working your way around. And you can feel how the flowers actually are sitting in your hand. I keep this hand quite lightly open, so it's supporting what you're doing, but if you put a bit of tension into it, then your hand's going to get really tired very quickly, and you're going to find it's harder for creating the actual bouquet. So keep it loose, keep it light, and you'll find that's much easier. So now I'm just looking and thinking, right, let's just double check our dimensions. So we want this to be quite nice and round, which it is. So we've got a nice posy bouquet, and what I want to do is, I can feel this is quite nice and neat at the tying point. I'm just going to take a wee bit of this off just to lose a bit of weight, and then we can look at our gyp. So I'm really just wanting to bring this in, like gather the clusters together and make a little unit, and then just come in underneath. So if you can have them on a longer stem, this is good, because then that means you can really use this for keeping them in water. So overnight you can make this the day before, no problem at all, and then finish it off on the day when you need it. Now, this bit is sticking out a little bit, so we can just give it a little trim, and that'll just keep that neat. And we want this to be quite a nice, strong border. There's no point in it being flimsy because there's nothing else going to go around it to support it. And remember, if you've got little bits of gypsophila that you've not used, keep them because they can be handy for corsages and just little finishing details. So that's essentially our bouquet. So this is giving us a nice texture difference, and we've got that contrast of really the roses and the callas are the main flowers. So if I want to raise one up, I can just put my finger in and just give it a little nudge up rather than grabbing the head and possibly damaging the rose. So we can get those roses just to sit a little bit up, and also the callas. And just by loosening this hand here, I can manipulate things a little bit as well. So I'm quite happy with our bouquet. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of twine. Now, don't cut it too short. That was maybe a little bit short, but I've just gone round it once, and we're going to tie it. Plenty of times I've tried to be really economical with a piece of twine and then discovered that actually it's a pain, and you're always better to have just that little bit more than that little bit less. So just bring your stems together. Now this is going to be where someone's going to hold it, and just tie that off. There. So you've really tied it in two places. Now what I would do is I would trim this and put it into water, and I would put it into water to a good depth actually. So up to this tying point would be fine. And then the next day you can finish off your handle and trim it to suit. But what we're going to do is we're just going to finish this off now. And what I like to use is double-sided tape. So this is an Oasis version, but you can use any double-sided tape, and even if it was coloured, it's not the end of the world. If you bring it back to back, then the paper just comes away so easily. If you make it too short so the ends don't meet, then actually it's really can be quite tricky to get the backing off the actual tape. So getting them to meet each other is the perfect way to do it. And what I've got ribbon wise is I've got this lovely like Hessian style, and I've also got a lovely lace version as well. Now we're going to need a few pins just to secure it, but we can literally put that on and go round. I know we're going round it a few times, it's not the end of the world. It's actually giving it a slightly more luxurious feel as well. And then just fold that over, and then we can pin it. So when I first saw florists using pins, it was really the Dutch florists, and they pin everything. And you're kind of a little bit worried that, you know, people are going to get jagged by all these pins, but I've never had anyone say that they've been jagged, so we'll be happy. What I would be more inclined to do, excuse me, is just go up the way with this lower one rather than down, because then this is going to be loose. So just space them out. You could use nice diamantes. It's whichever way you want to finish it. In fact, I'm really liking these pins, so I think we'll make more of a feature of this. So just nice and neat and tidy. And then to finish, we're going to look at how to cut it. So if we've got, I would say about here is nice. So when you're totally ready to let it go in the box and go out for delivery, that's the time to cut it. and just make sure that all these stems are nice and clean. There's no problem. And that's it. It's really as simple as that. We've got a very sweet collection of flowers bordered with the gypsophila, no foliage, because we're really going for a feminine floral look. So a simple hand-tied bouquet, suitable for a bride or bridesmaids, and I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, then click here and subscribe, and you can keep up to date with all our new videos to come. Thank you for watching.